I have 52 days until I pull my child out of public school and start unschooling him. He will be in 2nd grade. But I want to share some things with you guys that I'm going to be doing to make sure that I don't f his education or f his future. So a couple of things that I'm going to be doing are prioritizing to make sure that I don't f his education and he learns the skills he needs to be a successful adult is lots of time outside. This is going to allow his creativity to flow. Letting children be children and not setting them in front of a desk or a piece of paper or a book for 8 hours a day is the best way to get their creativity flowing and to teach him these things, not just reading out of a book, which is what's wrong with public school.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl, Christiana Faith, and today we are here to talk about unschooling. In this video, we are going to, of course, deep dive into the whole TikTok world of unschooling. We're going to hear from influencers that support unschooling. We're going to hear from educators that don't support the idea of unschooling. We're going to head over to Reddit and we're going to look at some people that are recovering from unschooling. And then at the end, I'll kind of share my thoughts on what unschooling is, even though I'm pretty sure you can tell what it is. But first, let's get into the definition of what unschooling is. Unschooling encourages exploration of activities initiated by the children themselves under the belief that the more personal learning is, the more meaningful, well understood, and therefore useful it is to the child. I.e., there is no curriculum like there is in a traditional public school setting or even in a homeschool setting. There is no curriculum to follow. There's no standardized test, none of that. People that unschool, they do not believe that the child needs to do things like that to be a successful person, a part of society, and that they could just learn freely based on their interests. So let's watch some TikTok videos of some popular influencers that support unschooling, and let's really get a deeper understanding of what that looks like.
So the whole interview was about, like, you know, the dangers of unschooling, and there was like a homeschooling expert that was like, well, my concern is that they're not going to be civic-minded members of a functioning democracy. First of all, it's dysfunctional, but second of all, that's the whole point, is to not pump out more civic-minded members of a functioning democracy.
Day one of unschooling, and I've got my kids helping me to clean the car out, teaching them hard work, taking care of the things that you love, that you need, and also just needed the car clean.
Okay, so Miss Kelsey Ray right here has gone pretty viral on TikTok because of her viewpoint of unschooling and why she wants to pull her children out of school. So if you've seen some videos before this, she has made it known that she's pulling her child out of school because basically there was beef going on between her and the teachers. She felt like she always had to sign the papers. You know how when the child comes home with the homework and you have to sign off on it to make sure that the child is doing the homework and that the parent is, watching over the child. And then, you said, yeah, no, she didn't want to do that. And because of all of that, along with not sending the child to school and getting notices about that, she decided that unschooling is the way to go because the school was putting too many restraints on her and her child, i.e. just checking in to make sure that the child is being attended to at home when it came to the schoolwork because she wasn't following up on the things that she was supposed to follow up on as a parent.
Now they're going to go grocery shopping with me and we're going to learn about reading labels. We're going to learn about math and money and spending your money wisely. When you're buying groceries, you need to make sure that the quality of it is good. So turn it over on each one, make sure that there's no molded ones, make sure they all look pretty good. And if they do, put them in their buggy. So far, we got 2 bags of yellow potatoes. We make homemade french fries. We have bananas, 2 things of grapes, 3 things of blueberries, 2 things of strawberries. You see the prices on them right here? You typically want to make sure that you pick the lowest price. And if it's a low price and it looks like it's a good apple, like Honey Crisp are good apples, we can get a bag of those. So we're going to get a whole pineapple because if we get a cut one, it's more expensive. It's cheaper to just get one yourself and cut it. Make sure that you open them, make sure they're not broken. All good. All right, so when you're reading the labels, I want you to just notice where it says includes added sugars. How many does that say? 0 on that one and 15 on, so we don't want sugars, right? So you're gonna get that one.
And most of the things that she listed in this video, if not all, are things that you can already do at home with your child after or before school or even on vacation. She mentioned gardening. She mentioned taking them outside. She says she's going to teach him about money, and that goes into grocery shopping. And once again, I'm just really confused because you do learn all of that in school. You can learn all of those fundamental things even while you're doing homeschooling. So I'm really not understanding where the unschooling part is going to help her child have a better education. If anything, it sounds like this child is going to have a lot of free time on his hand and very minimal education that's going to benefit him in the long run. And another thing that I'm realizing that people like to harp on is that they want to teach their kids these things that they don't learn in school. But sending a child to school isn't always going to be about them learning everything they need to know as an adult. So she's talking about baking and making connections with friends, grocery shopping, cleaning her car, like all of these things that Miss Kelsey Ray mentioned. I'm just like, you can still learn that after or before school. Call me old school, but I do think there is a time and a place for a child to just sit still and learn the basic subjects that they need to learn. Math, writing, science, history, and then they have some free time after. And I have went to public school and private school, so I can safely say that we had free time, you guys. There was recess. Even as you get into high school, you have free periods, you have lunch. There was ample amount of time for you to disconnect and chill for a little bit, but the purpose of school was for you to go there and learn subjects from a professional in the educational field. Now, what your parents teach you before or after that, that is totally up to your parents. So definitely learn how to do the gardening, learn how to clean the car, learn how to do, basic financing when it comes to picking out the proper groceries and stuff. But I don't think that's a good enough reason to say, oh, I'm going to pull my kid out of school so we can only focus on those things, because that's the only things that they're going to need in the real world. When in reality, you're going to need so much more than that. And let's say that your child wants to go into a field of science or math or writing. They will need some sort of formal education, whether that is through homeschooling or public schooling. You have to go through the proper channels to receive that official piece of paper that states that you followed a curriculum and you were able to provide proof that you did all of the work and all of the standardized tests needed to receive the diploma to then go into college or whatever trade school that you want to go into to enter into this field. Because there are a lot of unschooled children that went through their childhood not learning a thing. They were behind in reading. They were behind in math. They didn't know how to spell properly. They didn't know how to write properly. And we're talking about people that were 14, 15, 16 years old that had an idea of what they wanted to do and kind of realized like, whoa, I am kind of not at the same level of people my age and something is not right. Or people, they try to go into these fields that require diplomas just to find out the diploma that their parents told them that they have is a fake.
So I'm an unschooling victim. Yeah, strap in real quick. Here's a funny thing about me, right? I have a legitimate fake high school diploma from the state that I was born in. I received it from a family member in my early 20s. They went and they got it for me in hopes that it would help me, get a better job. Here's the kicker. I was pre-accepted into a university. High acceptance rate? Yes. However, I was pre-accepted. We come to find out that diploma has no transcriptions attached to it because I never stepped foot in any kind of schooling facility at all. So it's a legitimate fake ID diploma. There's no transcriptions attached. No school listed. That's so crazy.
And speaking of those children, let's head over to Reddit and we're going to read some accounts from people that have been unschooled and we're going to see how it negatively affected their lives. So this first one says, I need help. My mom has been unschooling me. My mom has been unschooling me since I was 7 years old. I have medical conditions, so she pulled me out of school. She has not taught me a single thing. I have begged her to teach me something because I feel so effing stupid, but she just says, you don't cooperate. You don't let me teach you. And I will say another recurring theme that I am seeing with parents that choose to unschool is that these are parents that have no sort of educational background in teaching whatsoever. It seems like these are parents that just wake up and say, oh, I think we should try this. I want you to learn my way because of some nefarious motive, whether it be religious or maybe they just want their kids home, child, because it's just easier to keep them home and not send them to school. But whatever the reason is, they have no educational background whatsoever. And for me personally, I feel like if you do want to homeschool your child or even unschool your child, I think you should be a trained professional because teachers go through a lot of education. How to fix being unschooled since 4th grade. I've been unschooled since about 4th grade. I'm supposed to be in 11th. How do I fix it? I can take the GED in about 1.5 years, but I want to get caught up on other stuff before I start studying for that. How did you guys fix it? Can it be fixed? I'm desperate and honestly, I feel so stupid. College after unschooling. For all of high school, I was unschooled. The highest level of education I actually have is 8th grade, but I have a high school diploma. My mother took me out of public school in March 2020 for obvious reasons, but it stayed that way for 4 years. Once she realized she could use it as a control method until I was graduated from high school. I managed to move out last year and in minimal contact with her. I have absolutely no high school education and I don't think I have a transcript at all. That makes it impossible to even apply to a college. And for me, that is the most heartbreaking part out of all of this. It's the parents putting something so huge and monumental on a child. I remember when I was a child, I wanted to be a princess, you guys. I didn't want to have anything to do with school. I really didn't like school, to be honest. Like, I did okay, but I really didn't like it. But can you imagine if it was presented to a child like me, like, oh, what do you want to learn today? And I'm like, oh, I want to be like a princess from Genovia, and that's all we focused on. Oh, what does the word queen mean? What does the word king mean? And I learned nothing at all. I think it's very unfair and selfish to put something that huge on a child when children, in reality, they don't know anything. No child wants to actually go to school and learn the things that they want to learn. And if that was you, if you know a child that's one of the few, fine. But I would like to say most children, they like to be free and they like to have fun, which is why as adults, we kind of have to lead the way and provide structure for them and kind of sit them down and force them to learn something simply because they don't know that they need it. Now, once they get older, that's totally their choice to decide what they want to do with their livelihood. If they want to go to college, let's say even if they want to continue high school past a certain point, right? That is totally different compared to asking your child that's like 4, 5, 6 years old, oh, do you want to stay in school or would you prefer to be unschooled? And we learn whatever you want to learn, Timmy. Let's be for real. What is a child really going to choose? And there are a lot of parents that genuinely think that it is okay for their child to not be reading or writing at the level that they should be. And one person that I do kind of want to highlight is Mommy Onami on TikTok. Don't know if that's her name, but let's watch this video right now.
So it's true. My son cannot read at age 6. There's never going to be a time in my life where I can say, yeah, my son started reading when he was 5 years old. He's on the Waldorf and Montessori schedule. It's different. But here's the thing about my kid. He's free. He's always been free. And every single day of his life is a blank canvas that he can make whatever art he wants with. Discovery, adventure, art, play, interest. This is what his day is made up of. There's no conformity. There's no needing to pretend that you're sick in order to get a day off. There's no trends. There's no ahead or behind. There's just being. free exactly the way that you are, free to learn at your own pace. And there are so many inmates that will know so much more than me. Inmates get law degrees, get all kinds of stuff. And there's so many inmates that will say, look, this is just the way that it is. This has been a really good thing for me. Everybody else is doing it. We don't live in a creative world. This is just what it is. But would any of those inmates not trade in all of these things they've gotten used to for a chance at being free, for a chance to feel the sun on their face every single day? That's what all of this is about. Thank you.
It's the inmates get law degrees for me. But no, this is a parent that I can truly say is setting their child up for failure. And it is such a disgrace because, once again, it is not okay that your child is how old? 6 years old and they cannot read. And your excuse is because you want them to be free and creative. They can be free and creative and still know how to read at age 6, especially if there are no developmental delays. Like, come on, let's be for real. But why listen to little old YouTubers like me on the topic of unschooling and how we think, this is not okay? Let's listen to some people in the educational field that do not support this type of unschooling.
If you have a young child between the ages of 4 to 7, I'm begging you not to unschool them. When your child goes to school with other children with a trained professional as their teacher, the teacher will be able to spot if there is a deficit going on. Whether the deficit be with their learning, whether it be with their socialization, they know what the standards are and they know what is typical of that age. They can see how your child is progressing in relation to the state standards, developmental standards, and their peers. You as a parent might not be fully aware of those milestones or the standards or what's typical of that age group. Your child could have a disability, a learning disability, a behavioral disability, and you would not know as a parent. You might suspect there's something going on, but you might not fully know. And the problem with that is you're not going to be able to get the services you need for your child if you're not in a public school setting. When a teacher notices that a child is not progressing a certain way, there are steps in place that they can do to get your child the services that they need. There are educators on staff in reading, writing, math. There are special educators. There are OT, PT specialists in school ready to go for your child if your child needs it. You don't get that if you unschool them. It would be a shame if your child really needed a service and you couldn't get it for them just because you didn't know.
In summary, I do not support unschooling at all. I do think that children need some type of structure or curriculum when it comes to education, and that can be through public school, that can be through private school, that can even be through homeschooling. But to just simply leave it up to the child to decide what they want to learn, I do not think that is helpful to the child, and it's going to result in them being significantly behind on basic things like math, writing, and reading in the early years of their lives. And based on what we saw today, some of the things that the parents focus on in unschooling are things that you should be doing with your child anyway, before or after any type of structured curriculum. And I'm all for parents wanting their children to feel free and not feel like they have to conform to society. But I do think that you should at least give your child a chance to decide what they want to be. And a part of that chance is giving them a proper education so they can make the decisions themselves, especially when they become adults. Because we also seen some people that are adults that are struggling because of the choices that their parents made for them when they were children. So comment down below your thoughts on unschooling. If you are a parent that is unschooling and you've had a positive outcome with your child, or if you are a result of unschooling, meaning your parents, unschooled you, comment down below. I would love to hear opinions from both sides. Let's just try to keep it respectful in the comments. Of course, this video was in no way to bash or offend anyone, but let's continue the conversation down below, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.